Welcome back, everyone. Jim here. As you can see, my little building project, my shed, well, not my shed, Linda's shed, is coming along. My last portion of this video, I think you saw I had the floor in, if I remember right. Not the floor, but the framing. Now I'm starting to finish putting the sheathing around the edges. I'm using 7/16 OSB on the outside. I will cover that with Tyvek when I'm finished. It's got two large windows in the front, so there'll be plenty of light in the shed. And the front door is about 5 foot wide, and it's going to be a double floor, so that if you only need a little bit to get in, that's fine. If you need to get something huge in there, you can open up both doors. It's going to have a gable roof on it, 10-10 pitch with shingles. Planning on using 3/4 inch OSB on the ceiling, on the roof, with ice and water shield. It should make a pretty good storage shed. Here in Maine today, you know, it's almost 9 o'clock, and we're up to 50 degrees. Kind of early for it to be this cool, but that's Maine. It's probably about the middle of September, 20th, something like that. We've had a couple cold nights. We've already had freeze warnings and frost warnings and stuff like that. So the goal is to get this done, obviously, for the snow flies. In this part of Maine, we can typically see snow middle and November. So I still got a little while to get the roof on. So let me show you some of the lumber I've used. Aside from the OSB, and the pressure treated wood, everything that I've used here, which is basically just the studs, I cut on my wood miser. And my LT35, which is currently under wraps. I just brought it back from the mountains, and I've still got a couple logs here to cut up. Matter of fact, these were some I cut down in the spring. If you remember some of my earlier videos, the big ash. I've got a couple of pretty good sized logs over there to cut up, and I'll probably make more building lumber, I'm guessing. All of the studding that you see is what I cut on the lumber mill, on the wood miser. I tried to keep it as close as possible to 2 inch by 4 inch, 2x4s. And I did find that in order to stay as accurate as possible, I did have to resaw the faces to bring the width of the wood here to be equal all around. And in that fashion, the OSB fit perfect outside. It's all nice and flush along the inside. I love working with this wood. And I can't tell you right now which is which, but it's a combination of eastern hemlock and red spruce. It works well, seems to screw well, hold well, obviously nice and solid. And today I'll be continuing, and I'll video a little bit of it. Not that it'll be that interesting, but of putting on the panels for the back wall. It's a 20-foot shed. So I've got 5 panels. I am taking the OSB, and traditionally I would run it horizontally, stagger the seams, but in this particular instance the walls are low enough that I can run the sheets up and down, and I have full support all the way around the edges of the sheet. So I feel comfortable in doing that. So, my day's work, well, working by myself as what usually happens. Linda is off today, but she has some grandmother duties to do today. So we may see her and we may see the grandchild out playing around. But what I've done for these 7/16" thick sheets is I know the horizontal distance up the side of the edge of the building, so I use a nailer, a ledge that I put along the bottom of the building, and I stand the sheets up on that. And then in that fashion, the sheets all come out even. Also, that's what I use for a helper between the ledger holding the sheets and maybe a clamp on the braces to hold the sheet up. And that works out fine for one person putting up the sheets. And I'll try to video some of that so you'll see how I accomplish that. Once these 5 sheets are on, I'm going to put Tyvek all around the outside edge, lap it over the top until I get the roof trusses built. And that'll help protect the OSB some. I don't want to expose it to a lot of water or rain for a long period of time because, as anyone knows, it swells. I do have Adventech on the floor, and that is supposed to withstand some wetness. Again, I still don't want to let it get any wetter than I have to. So this is a ledger that I use, and it's nothing more than a 2x4 nailed onto a piece of scrap OSB. And what I've done, when you look at the edge, is I've left a little bit of an edge here, and what that will do is when I put it up under the building, it holds the bottom, and this provides a surface to set the OSB on. My ledger, the edge that I talked about, goes right under the edge, leans up, and then pulls up tight. With it pulled up tight, you insert your screws, and that provides a shelf for the OSBs to set on. And so that's my helper. Once the sheet's up, grab yourself a clamp of some sort and clamp it to the stud. stud will hold it there long enough for you to make your final adjustments. And once you've made your adjustments, and you're happy with the placement, then you can tack it in. I will come back and finish putting that on solid, but I want to demonstrate the next sheet. OSB does expand some with moisture, so what you want to keep in mind is keep a little bit of space between the edges. That will allow for the expansion. If you butt them right up hard against each other and you get some expansion, you're going to end up this seam popping out, bowing. So make sure you keep a little expansion joint. They recommend 1/8 of an inch between sheets. What I use is a spike to set my distance. I'll put a spike in, and then I'll know when I got the sheet up against the spike, I've got my distance maintained. With the ledger and then the nail, I've maintained a nice distance between sheets. You still ought to check with the level. Do your regular checks to make sure it's even and where you want it, and then tack it in place. And she looks pretty good. So I'm going to continue putting these on. I won't put you through the pain of having to watch every one of these go up. Once I've got them up, I'll come back. All right then, that finishes this side. Panels. Panels all nice and tight. Now it's time to wrap it. Then start on the roof. Alright, so a fairly productive day today. Was able to get those back 5 sheets up. And then was able to get the building covered in Tyvek. So the next project will be laying out the roof trusses. They're going to be 10 by 12 pitch, 10-12 pitch. And when I start that, I'll make sure to get some of that on video too.